Oh, there, yeah? Oh, okay, okay. Okay, great. Yeah, so very, very super excited I was when I got a chance to moderate this panel. And of course, with people like Vineet and with people like Amit Sarda, who've already done very, very successful, been super successful in these markets. Few statistics to set the context on why this is probably the session nobody should be missing at AdTech. So what's happening, since I'm not able to hear, of course you can see that over 60% of all e-commerce demand in India is going to come from tier 2 markets. Rural India penetration is now over 52%, the internet penetration. Okay, India has over 500 million vernacular internet users. So these are some statistics for all of us to look at. 90% of online shoppers, Flipkart report says, is coming from tier 2 and tier 3. And of course, more will be shared by our esteemed panelists. Short form video consumption, okay, that's understood. Everybody knows this, YouTube Shorts, Moj, Josh. And of course, regional language consumption is 4x, 3x. Any marketer today should be looking at tier 2, tier 3. Growth from unorganized sectors, 88% of total retail in India is coming from unorganized retail sectors. And these are primarily, of course, in the larger Bharat markets. And what's helped in all of this is, of course, digitization. That is the growth happening through digital enablement. Yeah. And is AI and new tech relevant in these markets? Absolutely. Haptic report, 250% increase in adoption amongst brands targeting non-English speaking consumers. AI-driven regional chatbots are being used, and 74% of Indian consumers prefer personalized recommendations in their local language. In fact, Myntra, I think, saw a huge jump, about a 9x or 12x growth once they started regional recommendations on their AI-enabled search. Okay, so these are just to show, what's happening, and more from our panelists. So I'll open the floor immediately, and I'll get started. So, of course, I think I heard, that apparently today, if you want to know how the economy is doing in larger Bharat, you look at how V-Mart is performing because of their fantastic growth happening in tier 2 and tier 3. So if you can tell us a little bit on what you have seen, happening in maybe the consumer behavior, the shifts that have happened in the recent past. We need to set the floor open on how, in fact, your growth has happened in these markets.
Sure. First of all, I think quite interesting database. The two things I am picking from your insight. One is like heavy digital penetration in the tier 2, tier 3 and onward market. Number one. Number two, the lot of, I think, local, vocal, vernacular language, vernacular marketing thoughts are required. So I think good thoughts on Platter, number one. V-Mart, as you know, I think rightly said by you, our, I can say the purchase around 70 to 80% of the business is coming from the tier 2, tier 3 and tier 4. So our heart is there in the tier 3 market. That's a pretty strong one for us as a market. I think a couple of things change when we are comparing from the last 4 or 5 years. One big shift I can say, this is not only to the tier 2 or tier 3, there's the entire, I can say the universe or in the entire India market also. That is like, I can say consumption, okay, shifted towards the Gen Z. The people who born after 1995. So now if I'm talking the V-Mart as a store or our market, I can say the good 70% of the consumer and customers, they are coming from the tier 2 and tier, in tier 2 and tier 3 market are the Gen Z customer. So that's a pretty strong one. And when we are going again deeply into it, Gen Z, I think the digital penetration is very high. I think that's the reason the number what you're talking, there is a heavy super duper growth is happening in the digital, on the digital side when we are comparing tier 2 and tier 3 market. So that's the one big shift I can say. And fashion earlier, like in the tier 2 and tier 3 market, it was like heavy, more on the festive tilted kind of the number when you're comparing your sales, etc. But nowadays, like it's more a kind of the perishable kind of thing. So earlier, I can say people used to buy more during your Holi, Diwali, other festivals, Eid, etc. But now it's a everyday consumption are happening in India. So it's more perishable. And one thing like earlier they used to buy heavy means at a one go they love to buy more. But now they are like a their frequency increase a lot. And especially with the Gen Z, I think when we are going and looking at their inside, the overall, their frequency to visit our store is very, very high. So earlier, like the frequency was like average consumer, like 2 times, 3 times a year. But now it's like a 4.5 times. And especially when we are talking the lower age segment, Gen Z, it's like again, very, very high when we are comparing. So again, the digital, I think the consumption is very high. The problem in this market, the traditional way of the marketing, or when you are communicating these set of the customer, print media not working very strongly because hardly a circulation is there. But when we are talking overall digital side, I think the consumption is very, very heavy. That too again on the typically the vernacular language in that particular market. So that is working very, very fantastic for us.
And can you just also just share in terms of e-commerce and offline, you know, what kind of a split would you be experiencing across your brands?
So see, when we are talking, both are the medium to serve the one consumer ultimately.
Right.
Somewhere when you are going some market, the e-commerce is on the slightly on the higher
Okay.
side. Somewhere it is on the comparatively on the lower side. But one thing I can say, we are typically into the value retail. And people love to come and see very value retail and again the very high on the fashion element. So people love to come do the trials inside the store. That thing they cannot do on the e-commerce. Though we have both the mechanism with us. One is like online, which is like the arm is the limeroad.com. Another is the offline store, which is like purchase is there across 300 cities and almost like all the 26 states of the India.
Yeah. Before I could just come to Amit, I just wanted you to add a little bit. You spoke about it almost becoming a destination. People are traveling quite a bit to come to your store to shop. Some 60 kilometers. Yeah.
So absolutely, it's like our store is like walking, it's like a district center kind of. So almost like when we are talking in the heart belt, UP, Bihar, and Jharkhand. UP like largely, you know, the entire political thing, actually the decision maker is the Uttar Pradesh, which is like almost like 80 to 20% of India. Okay. So I think when we are talking that market, our presence is there almost like across all the district headquarters. And people are like coming from the good 60 kilometer, 80 kilometer, 100 kilometer to our store to soap. So like our always the preference is there how near we should be, like near to the railway station or the bus stand. People are coming to
So this is a very interesting insight because there it's like a destination shopping. Yahan jaise people go to malls, you know, it's an experience. Here the experience is mattering in these markets particularly.
So in tier 3, hardly malls are hardly present.
Right.
So a store like 10,000 square feet, what we have, average size I am talking, it's like acting as a mall because you will find everything there in the one place.
Right. Yeah, thanks so much, Vineet. Amit, you know, yes, you're in a category which the beauty and wellness market itself is shifting towards, I think, natural and Ayurvedic, but it's a very different category, very high involvement. Your experiences between the metro consumer and the tier 2, tier 3 consumers, are they different? Whatever learnings you can share.
Namaskar. Thanks for this question. I think my consumer is same, either tier 1 or tier 2 or tier 3. Consumer actually does not change, and we define our consumer in a slightly different manner. So people create persona, but we realize that in every city, the consumer still has the same need because you're solving a problem, be it for hair or be it for skin. But something very important is what they are consuming. So somebody sitting in Varanasi consuming ZTV, there is a lady called as, let's say, Pooja. She's married, she has a household, and she has a hair concern, she will buy my product. Somebody watching a Star Plus, Saas and Bhav kind of series also is my customer. So every region, the more you go deeper in tier 2, tier 3, you see some interesting patterns. I was just sharing on the table with you. Kanchipuram, a place which is known for its idli and saris, I was surprised looking at the data. 30,000 households are there. सिर्फ 30,000 घर है वहाँ पे, and we deliver every month to 3,000 houses. Now look at the penetration, which is 10% for a brand which is digitally native presently. So I think the opportunity lies for a brand like us in tier 2, tier 3 or tier 1, But it's a customer segmentation, and we believe there is a tier 2 and tier 3, even in a tier 1, means I'm talking about a customer persona. So today, the way we look at business is who's helping us to, be closer to that customer. We are building trust through our pharmacies. We sell a lot through pharmacies like Apollo and all. But we are also making sure that are we there on Quick Com, which is growing at a very high pace. Just looking at the data, my own company, we are in 134 cities today on Quick Com. And let me tell you one thing, the growth in metro is 8 to 10% on a month-to-month basis presently. But in smaller places like Jhansi, Varanasi, these places have shown 20-25% growth on month-on-month basis. To just set a context, Quick Com today is delivering, 3 large players are delivering 50 lakh shipments a day. It has moved from 22 lakh, or you can say 25 lakh shipments a day to 50 lakh shipments a day only in a matter of 2.5 months. So imagine in the next 4 months what will happen. So I think tier 2, tier 3, say zyada, I will say my customer segment, and my focus is to make sure that we are available to each and every customer who's looking to solve that problem.
This very interesting example you gave about Kanchipuram. Okay, that just puts a thought. You're saying 30,000 households and 10%, okay?
Yeah.
Now, in Vineet's category is, fast fashion, frequency of shopping has increased. In yours, high involvement product. So would word of mouth in the smaller market or in a city where there are only 30,000 people, to get 10%, would that
in
have
our
been?
business,
Yeah.
when we are solving problem, people want to see कि ये product काम करता है क्या नहीं करता है. It is the whole customer journey mapping, but it is, will this product work for that problem? So word of mouth is very core, but our word of mouth is very private. You really don't go on a stage and say, hey, I'm using a soulflower coil, that's why I have hair. No, you don't do that. You might talk about a good shoe you're wearing, or he's wearing a jacket, he might say, I bought this brand. So in our product line, nobody talks about the brand. But when you talk in private with anybody and somebody has a concern, people talk about us. Second thing is, which we again discussed earlier also, that the local languages, any language, be it, let's say if I'm doing something in Tamil Nadu, can I have more content there in Tamil? Let's say Mangalore, which is in Karnataka. Now in Mangalore, it's not Kannada, it is Tulu. So your dialect is there. So if you have Tulu influencers, they will have a better influence in Mangalore rather than having somebody only in Kannada. So again, this kind of things which India has so many dialects, we have so many languages. So this is something which Soulflower has been working on. Be it our doctors, be it our people, be it our customers, UGC is all created in all multiple languages.
Absolutely. So I think that localization flavors, I'm sure, Vineet, you would also be exploring or 100% doing localized marketing. Kushal, from you, what do you feel? Like, here we have 2 success stories and these brands are growing. 2 maybe certain brands which are still struggling, or, what have been your observations as a veteran digital marketer on, are they getting it right? Are there things that they are not doing?
I think we most often than not underestimate the actual sort of power of this new Bharat. I'm going to try and just use this conference as a platform to say that while there are conferences and platforms and conclaves happening in big cities, there should be opportunities for doing the same in a smaller town, smaller village. And at the same breath, I might also sort of add to that, Chaya, that when we think that, we do things smartly and better in a Bombay and a Delhi and a Bangalore, it's not true, because some of these smallest marketers in the smallest of towns kind of know it so well, because the pulse of the consumer is what they know. They know exactly in terms of, the rural retailer knows people by name, and not just by name, but so many other things. And he's able to sell to that person, clearly that Tata salt or that biscuit or that shoe or that sari or pretty much all that. And that's really also got to another level with e-commerce as well. Because a lot of these physical retailers have now graduated to become e-commerce retailers using the power of WhatsApp. They've created loads of WhatsApp groups and communities. I've had the fortune to work with the government and with Niti Aayog. And I can tell you for a fact that, in the smallest of towns and villages, which is even smaller than 25,000 of a population, that's where truly, I think, digital has been democratized. People may not have the smartest phones, will have feature phones, but Chaya, trust me, the amount of time they are on their phones, they're searching, they're Googling, they're researching and doing all of those things. And in that process, one is the consumer has become very sort of, I think they, in their mind, they're a bit aspirational, saying, hey, we want to get closer to sort of being like someone in Bombay, wear like someone in Delhi, consume like someone in Bangalore. So they've kind of got to that level where they're aspirationally wanting to kind of use those brands. It's also all of the other multicultural aspects which play out in a country like India, where we have two religions like Bollywood and cricket. So today, for example, yesterday when India sort of won, I'm sure for 5 minutes, nothing happened. But for example, after that moment, we had some of these cricketers who would have on their sort of social platforms put up something, even for a brand. It's important to realize the immediate lift of what someone like a Virat or someone would have said through maybe one of his brand posts in a tier 2 or a tier 3. So I think what is really happening is there is that audience who's really wanting to buy the Puma that Virat is, endorsing, or something else as well. And as rightly said by my co-peers on the panel as well, is that this is really where the big money is, which is why some of the largest, I think, biggest digital companies, and we have some of them here as well, whether it's Google, Microsoft, Meta, they're all actually investing in really the power of localization, the power of content, the power of really getting regional, because we've kind of reached this, I wouldn't say saturation, but we've gone already above that. So if you want to get to that new sort of, forget all the time also discussing aspects of Gen Z, I think that word is overabused, yeah? Clearly, yeah? Every report, everyone talks about Gen Z, can't get around in some stuff, but the fact is, there's also Gen A after that. Now that Gen A in a tier city again, or something which is in, I don't know, Daman, which is in, the Northeastern Sisters as well. But try and look at what that person is doing, what that person is consuming. He is fully digitally savvy, perhaps buying his or first needs on a Flipkart, doing his education, browsing the internet, doing pretty much all of those things. How different then is that person from someone in Delhi? We as marketers have clustered in our mind saying this is tier 1, this is tier 2, this is tier 3, and that's basis the way of our SEC and various things that I think industry bodies have put together. They're the same consumer who have the same human needs. The only thing is, yes, because a certain ability to spend may not be there for a luxury brand, but even that does not hold true now. So think about, if there is any car manufacturer on a panel or whatever as well, there's enough data which says we have more Mercedes or Jaguars being sold in tier 2 and tier 3 than even Delhi.
Right. So absolutely, like even Amit said, we are talking to a unified, one customer kind of a thing, same profile, but local language, local nuances just help you to go that extra mile. So from there, one of the other things that we wanted to touch upon in this panel is how do you enable, getting your brand, across in these markets? Like, most large brands, unless they were very traditional, like a Unilever would have got it right because Unilever and ITC, I think they got their Rural Marketing Act right long back. But for the younger brands, and even I think lots of finance brands do struggle. How technology, enabling, your logistics, your, actual ground reality to get your product out there. Can you share some insights on that, Vineet and Amit? Yeah.
No, I think very, very valid question. When we are talking and building a brand, unless until you have the sense like you have to somewhere build the scale of economy, then if we are not able to build that, and if we are like too much penetrating and in the one market versus like the another choice, we are going to a different market, right? So what we adopted earlier, we started with the largely with the UP. Today we have around, I can say the 1/3 of the, 25% of the stores are in UP, only one state, right? So idea is that why not go and do the deep penetration so that you can have the better control and command over your supply chain, okay? Because we cannot have the luxury like like supplying today and then after the next month we are doing supplying. No, every week we have to display stock. We have to refresh the inventory, refresh the store. And again, we have this, it's a physical, okay? We should have the proper channel to manage those stores also. If we have the one store in one state, another in the another state, it's very difficult to understand the customer psyche also. Because, you know, India, I think good amount of the festivities are there, right? In the month of March, we are sitting. Another one part we are celebrating Holi, another is the Eid, third one is in the southern market we are celebrating Ugadi. Suddenly we'll see in the month of the May, we will see the Rajo, Savitri, all these things will come in the Odisha. Some of people sitting here, they are not aware about those festivals also, the name. But these are the pretty large festivals and those large consumption event, I can say. So going deeply, understanding that market, understanding your TG, having good command control over your supply chain so that there should not be any too much of the, I can say the differences are coming when you are buying also. So I think you have to be very, very focused. Otherwise, I think making brands in these market and again making a business sense in these market is not the easy one.
I think that's a very, very good insight. Because of the local festivals, you do have to manage your supply chain accordingly because you're promoting locally during those festivals. So that's, and I think that therefore that one size fits all will not be there. As much as local, it's an advantage. Of course, Diwali, you will have national festivals, but there's local things
Just
too.
to add on,
Please,
when
please.
you're talking fits also in India,
Yeah.
I think it's vary from state to state. When you'll go to Jharkhand, Bihar, Odisha, you will find more thinner people and something small height and all. When you're going to the extreme northern part of the India, it's like Jammu, Kashmir, Punjab and all, you'll find different set of people. So one fit never work. You have to, again, you need the variation of the sizes, okay? It's not the easy one to manage. And if you have, say, another 5 stores only in the one part and 50 stores in the one side, one part of the India, it's very difficult to manage the equilibrium. So you have to be very, very focused when you are doing the penetration. Our strategy for the expansion was catchment-led expansion rather than going here and there anywhere. That was not a thought at all.
All right.
Luckily, we were right.
Okay. Amit, on this front, will you be able to share any insight on, on your supply chain management or logistics, especially since you do have that local brand? That was the other aspect I did want to ask about, because overall in the cosmetics category, local brands, do, compete a lot. So how do you manage that aspect also?
See, first of all, if you're online, you are available to everybody. But I think as a brand, one needs to decide what space you really want to own. And this I learned from a brand called as Santur, which is a 5,000 crore brand, but they are actually stronger only in south of India. Yeah, they get 3,500 crores revenue only from south of India. I think India is so huge as a brand, if you are doing even 1,000 crore revenue, I think you can do it only from 2 states, and that's the power of India. I think at Soulflower, we are very clear. Our whole aspect is the speed. We focus on speed, be it the delivery, our deliveries to our B2B partners or their deliveries further. I think India, as he spoke about Kushal, that we are so glued to our phone. Here also I can see so many people still on their phone, right? So this is where the magic lies. If you are so much on your phone, you want to order something, you want to browse something, you want to see something, you are going on phone. So might be QuickCom or might be a speed-based delivery today like Amazon, or might be checking online and going to offline to VMart and buying it, because retail is where the trust is built always. People believe in VMart or people believe in Apollo or Shoppers Stop, those kind of platforms, because they have built that trust. They are there, physically there. And he rightly said they understand the local festivities. How Kushal spoke about that the retailer knows exactly iska bacche ka naam kya hoga, mother ka naam kya hoga. So I think those kind of local relationships, which are more like extended family, is what the retail networks are doing today. And I think as a brand, we are very clear, whoever is making sure that in the region and in the customer they are addressing to, if it is relevancy to us, cohort-based marketing, we are more than happy to collaborate with them and grow.
Okay.
That's what.
And you did also speak about, using things like WhatsApp marketing to stay connected with your consumers. Can you
So
just
I
add?
think we have WhatsApp use a lot of AI. We use AI in voice also. What we have seen is WhatsApp is a great way of communicating to your existing customers. It's not a great way to connect for new customers. New customers will come through Instagram, social media, different OTT platforms. But I think as a customer, if you are my customer, can I engage with you twice in a month in some or the other aspect? So you know exactly, okay, this brand is there. And it is not only a push kind of thing. You can also engage back because there is an AI module there. There are actual people replying to those messages, and lakhs of those kind of conversations keep on happening on a monthly level. I think that is what we have seen the power of WhatsApp today.
And would both of you, in fact, to both I would like to ask, are you looking at adopting, AI-based conversational bots? Have you already done that?
We already have, in fact, we have a call, we have a, like actual real human conversations are happening on AI for some or the other thing, might be abandoned carts, might be, their follow-ups or anything which they wanted a query to get resolved. So we are already doing it. I think AI is very much there in every aspect of our life. And we don't know, next time there might be on a panel, there might be an AI bot sitting with us and talking. So that's
Yes,
how
that
it
will
is.
be
I
nice.
think limitless possibilities like.
Just to adding, I think when we're talking the backend, okay, the backend entire replenishment, because we are selling today more than say 15 crore kind of the quantum every year. Sending right option, right product at the right store, it's not the easy one. So we are using the AI in the replenishment, the backend part. Front end, we implemented from the when the customer desk and all, we have some sort of the AI. Third one, like which is like customer loyalty management and all, because 72% of the business, okay, coming from the repeated customer. Those are the, I can say, the loyal customer. So there also we are deeply reading what they are buying, what they are not buying, when they are coming, when they are not coming, what age they are, what is their preference, when they will buy further. If they buy the T-shirt, why not jeans? Something like that, some application. But still, I think I can say we are still far behind. There is a long way to go. It's a start only. Sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. So, Kushal, now, one challenge is that, with AI coming in, are there any, thoughts on, since it would be no longer completely human managed, do you have any takes on, how a brand can view the usage of AI? How do you manage authenticity in a situation where AI is now interfacing with your customer?
So I don't think I honestly want to answer because there's been too many discussions around AI since the morning, and I think we've heard enough of that. But I want to completely answer something from my perspective, since we're discussing tier 3 and tier 4 and those sort of cities and markets and towns, is that they're obviously using all of that for their own marketing functions. But for the benefit of the audience, of all the people in the room, we must realize the power of brands also in tier 2 and tier 3 cities. How many of us know in the room that there are brands which are more than 2,000 crores sitting in tier 3 cities? Yeah, today the largest, we think, how many people out here use Gillette? Anyone who uses a company called VJohn? Yeah, VJohn sells 2,000 more times than Gillette. It's a 6,000 crore brand. Of course, now headquartered in Delhi, but began from the tallest town. And this is really the story of India from tier 3 and tier 4. How many of us in this room, perhaps, I'm going to ask a question which maybe a lot of people will feel offended that I asked. A lot of men and women will use and wear jockey. How many in this room wear Arupa? Maybe no hand because of just the way I asked the question. But the simple thought I'm leaving is this brand spends 800 crore of advertising money. 800 crores. And that's not funny at all. They're using money across digital like nowhere for sure. They're using money in the biggest platforms like the IPL, CTV, influencer marketing, whatever as well. How different then is that brand manager sitting in Rupa from the swanky, fancy brand manager sitting in a jockey, which is sitting in a fancy office in Bangalore. It's, I think, what we need to, I think, really dissect is that there are a plethora of these big stories of brands in the big cities, which is actually going to shake fundamentally in the next 5 years the biggest brands, because they're already so big. So big. Today, for example, how many of you guys know what asafoetida is? Hing, which we use. Yeah, there are loads of hing masalas as well. There's a brand which comes in from a small place in a village in Gujarat called LG Hing. Anyone knows LG Hing?
Hanji, hanji.
LG Hing's marketing spends are 350 crore rupees. That's not even Ahmedabad, that is a small village produced. And there is marketing happening through other various channels. The same LG is being bought by Chaya, bought by Meen, even perhaps on a platform like a Flipkart or an Amazon or a retail store. And the thinking I want to leave back for the audience and all of us is that I think the story is not about the platforms we use or the tools we use or the mediums we use, but it is about the fact that there's already so much happening in these tier 2, tier 3 cities, which is really thought-provoking. In fact, we should, in bigger cities, take real thought of what is that guy doing the magic which is happening for that town and created such a revolution as a brand. And there are so many stories. I've just said about 2 or 3. How many know a company called Nandini Milk? How many know, for example, a company like Milk Mantra, which just got sold? Just made a company a few years ago in Bhubaneswar and clearly makes the biggest sort of, and he was, if you've gone to Bhubaneswar, you'll see every hoarding he's picked up. Now that's really, I think, Chaya, the change in tier 2, tier 3, tier 4. And I think we must all give a round of applause for this new changing India, because they're far better and thoughtful in terms of how they're spending, and they're making it happen. They're making the magic.
Yeah, in fact, I would say, I wouldn't say it is a change. It is something that's been there.
It's always been there.
It's been there.
Yeah, but I think
we've
people
had
from,
very big
I think a lot of people sitting in these sort of fancy rooms, like all of us in Delhi, Bangalore, Bombay, privy to these conferences, must really understand what is it that we can take from, Bikaji chips, because they're doing a better job than PepsiCo, honestly. Yes. What is it that someone doing some tomato ketchup in some smaller place is doing far better than Kisan? What is it that someone is selling, any product in different verticals, and it's happening in tier 2, tier 3?
Right. Yeah, so but just so that we are relevant to the context, because they are local brands and they've grown and expanded. We are talking about us using technology and expanding into larger markets.
Yes.
And since time's up, so I will need to, and she's like sort of.
So Kavya is, I know, heavily gesticulating, saying you guys have gone overboard.
No, it really got passionate, and I'm really grateful for that, though. Yeah.
So I think Kumbh Mela was a classic example where the biggest marketing event, and I was there, and I know how many people, and let us also face, a lot of people from here would be from many small towns, and they are proud Indians. So of course, Mera Bharat Mahan, and we are going to grow, and we are going to rule the world very soon, I'm sure about that. And yes, thanks to brands like Soulflower, V-Mart, etc., who are also going to, grow and create employment, create all those opportunities. So that's it. Any closing remarks, but please keep it short. Otherwise, she will. Acha, we can't have closing remarks. Also, thank you so much for patience.
We're around, so you can sort of catch us outside. Sorry if you've gone 5 minutes above time. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Can we have a passionate round of applause? What incredible insights we managed to gather from all of our speakers. I'm going to request